Hey there, Cozy Builders. My name is Sam, and welcome to my Tiny Glade series. In this series, I take inspiration from either the daily Tiny Glade pre-builds or real historical buildings from around the world, and I try and create a beautiful scene within a 1-hour time frame. Then I add some fast-forward magic and share a few fun tidbits related to the build. Before I get into this build, I would like to preface this video and let you all know that in this video I talk about some harsher subject matter regarding violence, death, and animal cruelty. That aside, I can't wait to share this build with you. So grab your favorite drink and a snack and settle in as we learn about the famous Flavian Amphitheater, more commonly known as the Roman Colosseum. One of the most iconic landmarks of Rome, Italy, the Colosseum is one of the greatest surviving symbols of the ancient Roman Empire. Built between 72 and 80 CE, the Colosseum was built during the Flavian dynasty by Emperors Vespasian and Titus, who built the amphitheater under the guise of public entertainment. However, its purpose was to showcase and implement imperial propaganda, a way to demonstrate Rome's wealth, might, and architectural genius after the fall of Emperor Nero's rule. It was funded in part with spoils from the Roman conquest of Jerusalem in 70 CE, including wealth looted from the Jewish temple. The construction of the Colosseum was a political priority, so it had full imperial support and resources. Tens of thousands of laborers, included slaves and prisoners of war, used concrete, cranes, and efficient logistics to build the elliptical-shaped Colosseum. It had 3 tiers of arches topped by a solid wall with windows and retractable awning system used to shade spectators. Below, a complex network of tunnels and rooms held animals and gladiators before entering the arena. Hosting gladiator fights, animal hunts, executions, mock naval battles, and public spectacle, the events at the Colosseum were free for Roman citizens, funded by the emperor to keep the public happy and distracted, becoming a place where all classes could gather, watch the same event, and feel pride in Roman power. Animal hunts typically took place in the mornings before the gladiator duels. Creatures from across the empire were brought to the Colosseum to participate in animal fights and the executions of criminals. Wild cats, bears, elephants, crocodiles, wolves, ostriches, and even hippos were lifted into the arena floor via pulleys and elevators. Sometimes the animals were even turned into mythical creatures, with costumes or makeup for the use of themed theatrical performances. Some performances were simply that, while others would end in brutality and actual death of humans or beasts. 2 examples of such reenactments were Hercules and the Nemean lion, where a fighter would wrestle a lion to death, and the story of Prometheus Bound, where a prisoner chained to a rock would reenact the punishment of Prometheus and be pecked by birds. Unfortunately, most animals didn't survive their performances. They were hunted for sport or used in executions. The demand was so high that some species, like the North African elephants and lions, disappeared from parts of the empire altogether. The Romans loved spectacle, blood, costumes, music, and myth all in one. The Colosseum was even flooded once for a naval battle, where they reenacted the Battle of Salamis, a Greek myth turned show on water. One of the most famous entertainment showcased at the Colosseum was gladiator fights. A gladiator was a trained combatant, often a slave, prisoner, or volunteer, who fought for survival and glory in the brutal theatrical games. While typically men, on rare occurrences women would enter the ring for a chance to earn money, fame, and sometimes freedom. A gladiator's diet consisted of barley, beans, and ash tonic for calcium in bulk. They would typically sleep in locked communal cells, and their days consisted of intense physical conditioning, sword fighting, and technique-specific training based on their gladiator type. Murmillo gladiators wore a helmet with a fish crest, short sword, and held a large shield. Vitarius fought with a net and trident. They were fast and lightly armored, and Bestiari specialized in fighting wild animals. All of this was under the watchful eye of a combat coach called a lanista, who were often brutal in their regiment and treatment of their gladiators, as gladiators were expensive to train, and a lanista would gain money, prestige, and influence when one of his gladiators won a fight, boosting his fighter's value, attracting higher-paying match bookings, and increasing the reputation of his entire gladiator school. Pre-fight rituals would begin in the late afternoon and include salutes to the emperor, and then the fighting would begin. Fights between gladiators began in pairs and could go on for minutes to over an hour. However, not every match ended in fatality. The decision about whether a gladiator lived or died usually came down to the editor of the games, often a high-ranking official, sponsor, or even the emperor when he was present for a show. There were a few factors that came to play when making this decision. If a gladiator was clearly defeated but still alive, he could ask for mercy by raising a finger, called an ad digitum submission. The editor would then listen to the crowd's reaction. The people might cheer for mercy or demand death, and based on the crowd's mood and his own judgment, the editor would either spare the gladiator or order his death. This signal was often given with a gesture. These gestures are iconically depicted in movies like Gladiator. However, they actually flipped the signals in the film for dramatic purposes. In ancient Rome, thumbs up likely meant to kill him, and thumbs down, or a hidden thumb, likely meant to spare him, though historians still debate exactly how gestures worked. However, the defeated gladiator's fate wasn't automatic. Remember, gladiators were expensive to train, so many were spared, receiving surprisingly good health care for their status, especially if they fought bravely and were popular. Some events at the Colosseum lasted for 100 days straight. However, gladiator games declined as the Roman Empire weakened and was officially banned in 404 CE by Emperor Honorius after a monk was killed for trying to stop a fight. After the Roman Empire fell, the Colosseum got damaged by earthquakes and started to fall apart. It was repurposed as housing, workshops, a fortress, and even a Christian shrine. During the Renaissance, the Colosseum basically became a quarry. Builders took huge amounts of stone and marble from it to build other famous Roman landmarks and palaces around the city. However, in the 18th to 19th centuries, the Pope stepped in and declared the Colosseum a sacred Christian site and started to protect and preserve it instead of letting people strip it down. 2,000 years later, the Colosseum has become a tourist attraction with upwards of 6 to 8 million visitors per year. A gift, a distraction, a message, and a masterpiece. This UNESCO World Heritage Site, and seventh wonder of the world, remains a powerful reminder of both Roman engineering brilliance and the empire's brutal entertainment culture. And there we have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this build and learning about the Flavian Amphitheater, better known as the Roman Colosseum. If you enjoyed building with me, please give this video a like and follow to stay up to date on my next upload. Thanks for spending this time with me in Tiny Glade, and I'll see you next time. Bye!